So.
Well, going through your website's been really kind of educational. You've got a lot of very nice stuff there. What parts do you make for Honda? I'm just curious.
Honda, we make basically the plastic interior parts, and we make a lot of the structural parts underneath the chassis. Yeah, so.
I'm an Accord man. I love.
You like Accord?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so. How long have you had Accord?
The first one was in '89.
Really?
And we bought an '06 about 2 years ago and picked up an '02 for our daughter about a month ago.
Okay.
And the '06 is a really nice car.
Yeah.
I really like it a lot.
Yeah.
Very reliable. Even though it's the 4-cylinder, it's
Yeah.
got a lot of pep to it.
Yeah.
Okay, we are rolling.
Okay. Well, as I was telling Sharon, this is just a very basic kind of biographical sketch we're doing today.
Okay.
Just talk to me. Don't worry about looking at Roger and the camera there.
Okay.
Okay, rolling? All right. I shouldn't even say rolling anymore. It's all going, these are all chip cameras now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks again for doing this. Let's begin kind of at the beginning. When did you first come to the Champaign-Urbana area? You were very young, I believe 16?
Yeah, Jack. I came in January '67, so right to Champaign, and I was welcome to America. I think they had the largest snowfall a couple of days before I got here. I think 27 inches. So, and I'd never seen snow, obviously, coming from Pakistan. So it was fascinating experience, obviously.
What drew you here?
I'd heard the streets were paved with gold, and the women were easy. And I found out one out of those two is true. The streets are paved with gold. So,
when did you first start working at Flex and Gate?
I started in August of '70. Yeah, and right here, where we are, and I've loved this place. Obviously, we're sitting here in a Quonset hut, which goes back to 1945, and just started here in August and did a lot of stuff working on the shop floor and engineering, design. Then we went through a transition, got sold to a New York Stock Exchange company, worked for them, and then I left in '78.
And when did you attend U of I?
From '67 to '71. I finished my undergrad, and then I did graduate school in mechanical engineering. Really a course at a time, more to learn, quite frankly, than to get a degree. So,
how did that help lay the foundation for the career you've built since then?
I think it's frankly fundamental. It's just about everything. The basics I learned. I mean, one thing in engineering school, it's still true today, certainly at a school like Illinois, I mean, you're learning principles, you're not learning the practices. So being in the area, being able to use the library, being able to talk to the people, it was, basically a great resource just to be here.
And I imagine at the same time, what you're learning in the classroom, you're seeing it actually put into practice out on the floor. You're seeing the actual engineering go to work.
Absolutely.
Could you describe that?
Well, and it's almost like talking about historical times now, okay? So, because, which was the backbone, the Industrial Revolution now, I think, a lot of those practices, even teaching like foundry, machine shop, whatever, I mean, those are really fallen out of favor, so we don't see that. But for me, it was absolutely wonderful because I could come to work here, and then I did this for years. After work, I would go to the library, go through the journals, and find out what some of the latest thinking was, even look at some of the magazines, trade journals they would have. And so it's a great place to learn and also self-teach. Yeah, so.
What was Flex and Gate building when you came here?
This was really a blacksmith shop. And it started off as basically a farmer who, in the winters, when you couldn't work out in the fields, outfit some trucks and then customize pickup trucks. You got to remember, I mean, in the 1970s, pickup trucks were work vehicles. They weren't for weekend cowboys, so to speak. So so outfitting, customizing. There probably weren't two trucks that were fitted quite the same way. Measuring and basically customizing.
You started your own company, Bumper Works. Tell me about how that took shape.
Well, I had worked here for about 8 years, and this was aftermarket, and we were going through the energy crisis. There was first wave in '73 and then in '78. And really my interest was like lighter weight parts. Weight translates into fuel efficiency. And so I had some really ideas on reducing weight and some revolutionary parts, which really there wasn't a need in the aftermarket. So I left and with SBA loan started basically a guy in a garage. Doing a lighter weight part, and then had customers, all Japanese for a long time, who were bringing in smaller trucks from Japan and could see, really could benefit from stronger light parts.
This probably would have been like the Datsuns and Nissans.
Really the first customer I had was Isuzu, and which was like Chevy Love. And it was quickly followed by Chrysler, which was going through some of its challenges, then importing a Mitsubishi truck. And then our business evolved where at one time we were doing bumpers for every Japanese truck that came in, Mazda, Mitsubishi, obviously Nissan or Datsun in those days. Yeah. So.
It was a seamless bumper design?
Yeah.
Drawn as I hope I'm using the right terminology for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In those days, you fabricated a part from half a dozen different pieces of steel. You weld them, ground them, and this was out of one continuous piece of metal. So the shapes were better, more aerodynamic, but more importantly, didn't have the labor, some of the corrosion issues. Yeah, so.
You came back and you bought Flex and Gate not too much longer, or not too long after that? Yeah,
so I came back in a couple of years. This was then part of Scott and Fetzer, which was a New York Stock Exchange company, and it really got sold to Warren Buffett, of all people. Very small part, obviously, and they wanted to divest themselves of really this area. So, and we needed capacity, so I was able to come back and buy them.
How big was the factory in those days?
I think in 1980, when I came back, they were doing about $3 million a year, in sales. So I mean, very small. I think about 30, 40 people.
How did the product line start to diversify? You moved from bumpers into everything from chassis to plastic interiors to trim. Just about everything that goes into the car industry.
Yeah, Jack, I mean, for us really, it was focus. We had one product line in those days, which was just bumpers, and we wanted to be the best at it. There was really, I used to keep a list of like 18 competitors in my briefcase all the time. See, you get up in the morning, you see what each one of them might be doing that day. And it's interesting, every one of them got out of business. Either it was sold or consolidated or bankrupt or whatever. So, and then, we thought we were doing real well because you could pick up that business. But then this is about evolution, about automotive revolution. So our product line, which was steel, changed to plastic. And really, there is nothing in common other than there might be bumper systems. So we had to really evolve very quickly or we weren't going to have any business.
You started supplying bumpers to the big three automakers in 1984.
About there really after that, and then it takes a while to get traction. This is this is a very evolutionary business, very conservative business. So you have to prove yourself, and then you're able to obviously reap the rewards later on. So, about that same time, we went through, this would be like early 90s. Toyota was really our key customer in those days, and they were looking as to what it takes, what made them successful in Japan, what would make them successful overseas. And we became the first company outside Japan that got help from them on lean thinking and lean manufacturing. So that was really a foundation, a core principle, core competency that we acquired.
I remember when Mitsubishi started in Normal a few years ago. How we did a tour of it with I was with the Illinois News Broadcasters Association then, and they were talking about a concept that was then new to the American car industry, which was you bring the stuff in only as it's needed, and there's not this big backlog of stock parts laying around. And that's what they call lean manufacturing? Yeah,
lean manufacturing, just in time. Basically, the whole thinking is, it's pull, the customer demand pulls the product versus manufacturing efficiencies that might push the product. So.
How did your company evolve along with that principle?
Well, it's obviously it's the right principle. You have to evolve if you're going to be competitive cost-wise, quality-wise. You have to adopt those latest technologies, latest thinking, or you're going to be obsolete. So,
coming into the industry from, as you say, when this was basically kind of a blacksmith shop when you started, you've seen revolutions in the way that things are done, things are designed with computer-assisted design, and now with manufacturing. How has that changed? How has the business evolved over the last 40 years that you've been involved in it?
Yeah, there's very little, obviously that's similar, frankly. I think time is vital. I mean, you have to be very quick. There's a huge amount of engagement you don't have by everybody, whether it's a person on the shop floor or somebody designing. There's a huge amount of continuity, flexibility, agility is what you need, and open thinking. I mean, customers are changing, product are changing, and if you have to be able to roll with the punches very quickly. So.
And the consumer's getting pretty demanding too.
Yeah, very demanding.
Because the cost of cars and trucks is such now that it's a major investment that you want to get the most out of your money. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's second largest investment, I think, after a house person's gonna, average person is going to spend. But I think if you look at it, by far the cars are more durable and trucks than they've ever been. Downside of that is the oldest fleet on the road today in the history since invention of the automobile is right now. Average car is about 10 years old. It's because, and if you think about it, when is the last time you saw a car, the floorboard was rusted out or fenders were rusted out? You don't see that. In the winter, obviously your cars start. You take a lot more for granted. So the quality, the durability, and the emotional appeal has to be there. I think we see some of the more traditional Japanese who did very well. I mean, talking to a cord lover here, they are losing some of the appeal because they don't have the emotional appeal, the design, and some of the essence, really, some of the creature comforts. So there is a renaissance, obviously, for the Koreans and the Americans right now to be able to take advantage of those gaps. So that's a great example. Some of the best-selling cars of yesteryear today don't do that well today. So,
how did the company grow to an international, to a company that's in Mexico, Spain, South America, Canada?
Yeah. For us, it was that, in this business, if you are standing still, you're falling behind. So you have to evolve, you have to grow. And really, it's a key learning for me that it doesn't matter what the economy is or how many vehicles are being sold. As a company, you have to grow. It challenges the people, and more importantly, I mean, you create a DNA structure which is always evolving for the better. So we can, when you end up with a very high penetration of the product line you have, then you have to grow outside that. So for us, we had to kind of leave the comfort or the security area of central Illinois, central Indiana, and move beyond that. Be able to find not only product line, facilities, and also really people, talent, which could mesh in with some of our core principles.
You started to touch upon some of those. What is your business philosophy? What are the values that this company represents, not only to its customers, but to the people who work here?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, it starts with the customer. You got to meet their needs, and once you meet the needs, then which is you got to have the right product for the right price, on time, to the quality they're expecting. That's so simple, but so hard. Once you go beyond that, you got to have the right people, and I mean, our evolution that, till 1990, we were about a $15 million a year company. And then the next 10 years, we became maybe about 150 to 200 million, had about a tenfold increase, and now we're over 3 billion a year. So this is with the ups and downs of the marketplace. I mean, we've been able to sustain it. So I mean, the core principle is you got to find the right people. And they have to have the right resources. They have to be treated properly where they can contribute in a meaningful way. So it's about making money, but it's also really changing people's lives.
Well, I've read some of the reviews from employees of yours, and they're very good. The company takes feedback seriously. They help people advance up the corporate ladder. You get good marks from the folks who work with you.
Yeah, I think we get good marks, and I think we also get, and we welcome, frankly, constructive criticism, and God knows I get plenty of that too. Okay, so, and that makes us better. So I mean, we're far from perfect, and I think a lot of room for improvement. But you have an open mind, and you can grow.
And doing a little digging into the company. You have a set of social principles that you live by. You have environmental principles. I did a little reading into that. The company wants to be very socially aware. You subscribe to the Sullivan principles on human rights. And as an international company, that's something that I think speaks very well of you.
Yeah, I think you have to do that, and you want to be part of the community. So in some areas, Mexico is a great example that some of our processes, whether it's paint, whether it's chrome plating, we use the water in Mexico, and then when we get done with it, we are also the sewer system for the community where we put the water out in the farm fields where they can reuse it with a shortage. So it's you have to be very, very aware of, and you go much really beyond what the limits might be on environmentally. So some of the communities, I mean, the resources we're using are very precious to them. And so I think awareness, it's just good business, quite frankly. It took me a long time to figure out that, and I think American industry as a whole, that, quality saved money and made the companies better. And it wasn't something, that was costing money. Once you kind of understand that it's good business, then you can take advantage of really some of the core principles.
Which leads me to your philanthropy. You've taken a great interest in giving back to the University of Illinois here in the Champaign-Urbana area. Obviously, on the Business Advisory Council, College of Commerce, College of Engineering, Board of Visitors. You're very interested in the success of this place.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've lived here for a long time. And I think the university will go through a change. I think it's been well supported by the state of Illinois, but I think that's a changing model. I mean, they have to evolve to a more private and a public partnership. And, we've done our part. So, and I think not only the university, that's just one element. We've been active with the libraries, with a women's shelter. A lot of other social and civic causes, not only here, but really some of the other areas. And again, it's part of being part of the social fabric of the community, and then really playing a positive role. So.
Well, I see that you're very interested in the applied health sciences area at U of I, Center for Health, Aging, and Disability. You've endowed professorships there. That's kind of a different area for someone who has an engineering background. What draws you to that?
My wife. So, this was really her passion, and so she really has been the key driver for that, quite frankly. So, and it's something, frankly, all of us are going to benefit from moving forward, and it's an area that needed help. At the university, wasn't the most sexiest of the areas, and so really she's been the key driver.
Well, it's an area though where you can really change lives. You can really do something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're getting to the end of the questions, but what's still, for someone who's done so much in so many different areas, what still excites you in the morning when you get up to where are the new ideas coming from? Where do you want to go next?
Well, I think, what excites me is you're part of this is one thing you learn, this is the greatest country on planet Earth. And no matter what you might hear on TV, especially if you go overseas, first question that comes up, hey, how can I get to the U.S.? So it is, it absolutely is a very, very, exciting time, certainly for us. And, the automobile, I've loved cars ever since I can remember, and just to be part of that is really fascinating. See the new technologies that are emerging, the role we can play, and, you get up, you want to make a difference, I think, in customers and people's life, and really grow the business. And today, we got all the resources. We have a track record, we have credibility, we got money, we got great people, so it's like the fun is just beginning. So.
I meant to ask you this at the beginning. Were you always, as a kid, into cars? Were you always into?
Yeah, I've loved cars, and for a long time. And I never thought that you would be able to make a living, frankly, in cars, but. And when you just fall into something you like, I love machinery. Many clocks and other mechanical things I took apart as a kid that I never put back together, or was never able to put back together. So there are a lot of clocks that weren't working when I found them, and they were, worse off when I got done with them. But the mechanical aspect has really I've loved from a kid to today.
It's interesting you say that. My dad was a watchmaker.
Yeah.
So I grew up around clocks and watches of all sizes, even the little ladies' watches about the size of your fingertip, he could work on those things.
Absolutely, Probably had his eyeglass and, pliers and all the little tools, the jeweler's tools.
Jeweler's tools, dentist tools, exactly. What at this point in life, as you look back, what gives you the most satisfaction over what you've been able to do so far?
I think probably, satisfaction, is, certainly I've had a great life. I think the absolute coincidence of ending up in Central Illinois at 16, I think it's probably the most fortunate thing that happened to me. But I think beyond that, being able to make a difference in people's lives, as you find the resources, and to be able to, obviously have great family, and, not really get burdened with, some of the daily headaches, frankly.
What did you think when you learned that you had been named the laureate of the Lincoln Academy?
I was shocked. I had no idea, something like that. It's obviously, it's a great privilege.
Shahid, is there anything I haven't touched on?
No?
I think we're actually in very good shape.
Okay, well, I mean, you did your homework, and obviously you know more about our company than I did. So it's it's fabulous. So PBS is working hard, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're trying. We're
Yeah.
trying. It's this is a fun program to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been everywhere from like the Argonne National Laboratory,
Yeah.
the biggest art museums. Everything is
Yeah.
because of this program, and it's just been fascinating over the years. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think we're done with this.
Absolutely.
Part of it. So we